Live from New York. It's the
I know.
No brew today.
No brew.
It's kind of brutal.
Yeah. So are we doing anything special?
So we do have 2 committee members here. That's how powerful brew is.
But what about in his honor? Is there any?
No, that's later on.
Oh,
darn it. I was trying to.
You shouldn't have told me.
That's first things first.
Means he felt like, you guys don't want me here, so I don't want to be here. It's not like now I have a better chance to play. He has a worse chance to play now.
Yeah.
Right? Backing up Jalen Hurts, the entrenched $250 million starter in Philly, versus backing up the $1 million new arrival in Russell Wilson. I think we are seeing a trend, whether it's good or bad for the league, of teams ripping the Band-Aid off quickly, from even if they were a first-round pick at quarterback. Not going to work, not the guy we thought, let's move on. And so Mac Jones it happened to, Trey Lance obviously it happened to, Kenny Pickett, the draft after them it happened to, Justin Fields, the same draft as Mac and Trey, it happened to him, Zach Wilson it's happening to, or happened to last year. For the Steelers, I find it interesting in that I don't think they all of a sudden are more committed to Russell Wilson. I think that they showed they were done with Kenny Pickett when he was healthy for a playoff game and they started Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, that's true.
The moment that happened, they were done with him. I do wonder if this means they could package that pick they just got for Pickett and use it to get Justin Fields. I do wonder that. I think that is intriguing and a real possibility, because right now they have no depth chart because Mason's a free agent. They have real questions after Russell Wilson on the quarterback depth chart.
So the Justin Fields to Pittsburgh stuff was always percolating. Suppose that does happen. You think that's a competition, or who has the head start there?
Well, I think Russ clearly has the head start because he's there. They just held it is always noteworthy, do you get an introductory press conference or not? Russell Wilson did. And so
poor Mac Jones was just in a quiet conference room with the social media manager.
Exactly right. And so, no, I think Russell Wilson would have the leg up, but I think it would be a real competition. I think Kenny Pickett knew he wasn't going to be truly competing with Russ. And so I think he was bothered by that, so would rather go somewhere else where there's
also not going to compete.
But I think it's less insulting to not be competing when the player's Jalen Hurts than Russell Wilson. And I think it's less insulting when it's not the team that drafted you. I think that there's an element of, you guys drafted me, you gave up on me because I got hurt, I'm sure is how he feels, even though I think they give up on him because he's not very good. So they move on.
Okay. Other breaking news this afternoon, Aaron Donald calling it a career. His resume, 10 years, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time first-team All-Pro, Rookie of the Year, All-Decade Team, and, of course, Super Bowl champion. Writing today, I respected this game like no other, and I'm blessed to be able to conclude my NFL career with the same franchise that drafted me. Not many people get drafted to a team, win a world championship with that team, and retire with that team. I do not and will not take that for granted. Your reaction?
He's one of the rare athletes of my lifetime that I think it's impossible to overrate him. If you said he's the greatest defensive player of all time, you're not overrating him.
Well,
no, he has an argument for it.
Maybe.
No, tell me why not.
Just not Lawrence Taylor. I just feel like Lawrence Taylor has that one locked up for a while.
So I'm not sure about that, by the way. He has the same number of defensive players of the year. He has more great seasons than Lawrence Taylor does. Lawrence has one more Super Bowl ring. He has 2 Super Bowl appearances. And I know you're a quarterback wins guy. I don't think you're totally a defensive tackle wins guy. And so I am not saying he's the greatest defensive player ever. I'm saying if someone called him that, you're not overrating him. It's like he is in the argument for it. His football career is very simple. In college, his last year, he won every defensive player award available. Won them all. His first year in the NFL, he won Defensive Rookie of the Year and was a Pro Bowler. He then played 9 more seasons. In those 9 seasons, he was a first-team All-Pro 8 of them. He won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. 7 straight years, top 5 Defensive Player of the Year finalist. And in his 5-year peak, he played 79 games and had 163 sacks or tackles for a loss. So more than 2 a game, culminating in a Super Bowl where he had 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, and ended the game. We showed the highlight, but it should be noted, that ended the game. 4th down, that was the defensive version, really, of the McKinnon touchdown. The defensive version of, okay, we just won the Super Bowl. And what, Wildes, when I say, you said it, but 8-time first-team All-Pro. Here is Super Bowl era. Full list of guys to do it. So same numbers, Lawrence Taylor. I said more. Same number, pardon me. Him, Jerry, Bruce, Reggie, Lawrence, and Munoz. And so, in my opinion, tell me if you think this is fair. If there was an NFL modern era defensive player Mount Rushmore,
oh yeah,
it's Aaron Donald, Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, and Deion Sanders. That's the list. That's your 4 greatest. Ray Lewis just misses the cut. Bruce Smith just misses the cut. Those are your 4 greatest defensive players of the Super Bowl era.
Trying to get Revis on there.
Well, no, Revis isn't better than Deion, and so he's not gonna make the cut. But go ahead.
Showing that last play, I always like to say, if he wasn't on that team or if he didn't make that play, maybe what we're talking about now as far as legacies are different. Maybe Joe Burrow has a Super Bowl. Maybe Matthew Stafford doesn't. Maybe McVay is the guy who can't get it done, kind of like what we talk about Kyle Shanahan. Yes. So it's one play, a lot of plays, but one play that changes everybody's legacy. Okay, so what does this mean for the Rams is the question. Preseason tiers, you had them pretty high. One reason, I assume, is because of that defense. Their quarterback sacks and pressure rate dropped down, of course, from their Super Bowl winning team, but still solid. What do you think this means for the Rams now?
It's mitigated by the fact it seems like it was a bigger surprise to everyone outside of the building. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think that maybe not the moment the season ended, but certainly when free agency started, they knew this was coming. You can almost tell by the quality of the social media tribute videos that have been created that this wasn't done.
Like reading the tea leaves now.
Well, I just think, and the people close to the team have reported that this is not a surprise to the Rams. Mm-hmm. They have drafted really well over the last few years, not just with first-round picks, and they have drafted, I think, 4 separate front 7 defensive players in the first 3 rounds in the last 3 drafts. So they've spent resources there. Obviously, he might not have last year been peak Aaron Donald, but he was at worst the 3rd best defensive tackle in the league, and he was first-team All-Pro. Yep. So it's a real loss, but I don't think the reason I am so bullish on the Rams was more about McVay, a healthy Stafford, Puka, maybe a healthy Kupp in that offense, plus the young defender. So I think they'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he's one of the best players in the league. Also, can I say a selfish thing? Aaron, if you could have done this like a week ago, well, then the Chiefs could have been like, Chris, we're going to make you the highest-paid defensive tackle in the league at $28 million.
I know, but it's the fraternity. It's smart.
Yeah, that's smart. Like, maybe Chris asked him. Maybe Chris was like, just hold off till I get the money, break your record.
Josh told me he won 7 of the 8 last final game, so it's nice to go out on sort of winning mini winning streak, so it's pretty good.
And I think that never mind. I think the Rams team could have been in the Super Bowl if they would have beaten Detroit.
They couldn't have, but
okay, that's fine.
Congratulations, Aaron Donald, great career. Kansas City goes to Hollywood. Chiefs signed Marquise Brown to a
classic one,
year,
Wildes.
$11 million,
$7 million
with incentives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The dynamic receiver shared a text from Andy Reid, who sealed the deal, saying, "Hollywood, think red today. KC red with diamonds. Wink, wink." Yeah. Signed, Andy Reid. Yes, sir. Love the sound of that. With a heart emoji and a diamond ring. Think Hollywood Brown. Lights, camera, action, and 2 rocket ships.
So good.
It's fantastic. Here's Hollywood's numbers in his career. 5 seasons, 7 targets, 4 catches, about 50 yards. 11 yards, so you get a little bit more of a downfield threat with 28 touchdowns. You asked me to ask you this in the meeting.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Is 20-0 back on the board?
Oh, it's always on the board. As long as Mahomes is there and Reed's there, it's on the board.
But you're not. Don't say anything crazy.
I am not. The draft hasn't happened. There's things we don't know if Snead's coming back or not.
He's going to.
So it is on the board. They are more likely to go 20-0 than they are to not be in the AFC title game. I know that. So they are more like so. But here is the more about Hollywood Brown. It's not yet. The reason I said Classic One is I told you on Wednesday they're going to get one of these remaining guys on a 1-year cheap prove-it deal because the Chiefs are now in the rarefied air of not necessarily hometown discounts, but free agent discounts.
I buy
People want to come play for them.
It's the new Brady discount.
And yeah, and except the Chiefs, will actually spend the money as opposed to hoard it, as the Crafts seem to.
We did.
And so he is a good player. He's not a great player. He's a good player, but he's a good player on a great contract. And so I want to show you a tweet from our friends at Spot Rack about the wide receiver contract signed. So Ridley's a better player, got a bunch of money. Gabe Davis, 3 for 39. Mooney, 3 for 39. Samuel, 3 for 24. And then Hollywood Brown, 1 for 7. So let's compare those 3 other players to Hollywood Brown. They're all around the same age, 26, 27, 26, 24. The games are not the same. Samuel's played the most, but they're, same area.
Touchdowns are there.
Hollywood's got the most yards, the most touchdowns, and far and away the cheapest contract.
Yeah.
So do I think Hollywood Brown is, drastically better than Curtis Samuel or Mooney? No, not necessarily. I think he has more upside. That's why he was a first-round pick. But the fact that the Chiefs didn't have to commit multiple years of guarantees, that it's a $7 million deal, and now, and this is to me the most exciting part, they can let the draft come to them. There is no flashing red light must draft at 32. If there's a great tackle they love, they'll draft him. If there's a great receiver they love, they'll draft him. If they want to take Snead's eventual replacement, or if they want to buttress the defensive tackle rotation alongside Chris Jones, they can do any of those things because it's not like, oh my God, we have this gaping hole. And so, so everything keeps coming up.
Here's another one. You'll like this even more. So you showed that Hollywood Brown's numbers are similar. So here's what Warren Sharp tweeted.
Wow.
Baltimore's pass rate when he was with the Ravens with Greg Roman, number 29 in the league at 51%. Arizona with Cliff Kingsbury was number 16, and the Chiefs are number 1 for the last 5 years. So all of a sudden, he's going to be seeing a lot more balls, spread the field a little bit of a downfield threat that we talked about. Mahomes just dinking and dunking and winning Super Bowls.
I mean, also, Lamar is a dynamic player, is not nearly the passer Patrick Mahomes is.
No, I think that's
Kyler is a dynamic player, is a good passer, but Hollywood didn't get him for the full time. Hollywood got hurt, and then Kyler got hurt, and then Kyler was back. This is demonstrably better quarterback play than Hollywood Brown's ever been able to be a part of, and it fits a need. And so Rashee Rice is not so much of a downfield threat. He's more of a yak guy. Hollywood Brown is, and so
What's the deal with Kadarius Toney?
What do you mean? What's the deal with Kadarius Toney? Of course he's staying.
Okay.
He's going to get his head on straight. Yeah, of course. $2 million, buddy. $2 million upside. I don't know why you're trying to. Did Kadarius Toney? How many years has he played with the Chiefs?
2.
2. How many Super Bowls have they won in those 2 years? Okay, there you go. Thank you. Longest punt return in Super Bowl history, still Kadarius.
I know that.
Thank you.
Other news: Keenan Allen headed to Chicago. Bears sending the Chargers a 4th-round pick. Now, last year, Allen caught 108 passes, went for over 1,200 yards. Career has been consistently productive, led the league with 8 catches a game in the span. But LA says goodbye. The question I wrote was, what's the deal?
The cap's not fake. Yeah, the Chargers went into Wednesday morning with 4 of the 5. The 5 biggest non-quarterback cap hits in football were 4 Chargers and Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald retired. They got Mack and Bosa to restructure their deals, and then they had to get rid of Williams and Keenan Allen. People can pretend all they want. Oh, you can always borrow money. You can always move around. Eventually, the bill comes due. And so that's what happened here. And so the Chargers now, I want to know what their plan at receiver is because.
It's just draft, right?
Here's the problem with that.
Their deep draft pick? What do they got?
Right,
37.
It's not the 5th overall pick.
Well, no, I don't think 5.
Well, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors is going to go in that range.
He's going to go. You think Marvin's going to be there at 5?
Well, I think it's on the board. Quarterbacks go 1 through 4.
Okay. And that's a home run then.
So here's the problem with that though. The Chargers all of a sudden have 2 offensive players you trust: the left tackle Rashawn Slater and the quarterback, and that's it. And they spent their 1st-round pick last year, the 2nd receiver off the board, on Quentin Johnson. They took him over Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Jaden Reed, Tank Dell, everyone, Puka. The 2nd receiver off the board last year amongst rookies was 15th in catches, 18th in yards, 17th in touchdowns. So are the Chargers deep enough
I don't know
to
if
go?
is that him or is that Staley's offense that's no longer there?
Quentin Johnson was very bad last year, and so I think they took the wrong player.
I believe in you, Quentin Johnson.
My point is, Wildes, like, can a team like the Chargers, that was a 5-win team last year, can they spend back-to-back first-round picks on receivers? I don't know that they can. And so I just don't know what the plan is for them moving forward in the short term.
All right, Cowboys time. It's time to worry for Cowboys fans.
No, the time to worry is going to be when you see the Dak contract numbers. Like, what they're doing in free agency is fine. It's like, oh, they should have signed Christian Wilkins. Well, yes, a lot of teams in the league would have been good. It would have been good for them to add one of the best young defensive tackles in football, but that's why you got $110 million. They're going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb. They're going to have to pay Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Like, that is baked in. They already paid Diggs. But when Kirk Cousins, at 35, with a ruptured Achilles, is worth $45 million a year and $100 million guaranteed, because he hit free agency. And Dak Prescott's agent is able to sit there and be like, we don't need the extension. What Dak Prescott would have to quit the sport. No, Kirk Cousins just proved to us. No, there is no injury you can suffer as a quarterback that if you hit free agency, you don't shatter the market. And I understand Kirk didn't shatter the market, but given his age, his production, all of it, the fact that he now makes as much per year as Patrick Mahomes, the exact same amount, $45 million. So when you see the Cowboys have to sign Dak Prescott to a 3-year, $180 million extension that is $150 million guaranteed, that's when it'll be time to panic, because that's the train that's coming down the tracks.
Okay. I'm not sold that they need a bunch of new players.
I agree with you.
12-5, you had a home playoff game, you're second in point differential. This idea that the whole roster needs to be overhauled, I don't buy it. You should have beaten the Packers, you didn't.
I agree with you, and to add to your point, Wildes, anyone that's killing them for this free agency period, I would ask them, is there anything they could have done in this free agency period other than change the coach or the quarterback?
Yeah, I got one.
That would make you feel like the playoff meltdown isn't coming down the tracks?
Just quickly, quote, the Cowboys never called at all, Derrick Henry said. That's where I stay in the offseason. It would have been a local call.
Okay.
I'm kind of on the back end of my career. That's a great organization. It would have been a great opportunity, but I'm thankful that I ended up here in Baltimore.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
you guys love
just call them.
You guys love paying older running backs a lot of money.
Okay, they have no one. They have Deuce Vaughn.
Okay, they'll get a running back. They're easy to find.
Okay.
They're easy to find.
They don't have one.
Okay, they'll get a running back.
Okay, I'm waiting. Derrick Henry's pretty good.
Okay, maybe. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.